Any health-related information on the following show provides general information only. Content presented on any show by any host or guest should not be substituted for a doctor's advice. Always consult your physician before beginning any new diet, exercise, or treatment program.
Are you tired all the time? Have you been told it's your adrenals? Are you reaching for that adrenal cocktail that's on TikTok? Well, it's going viral for a reason, because everybody is tired. Welcome to Accelerated Health with Sara Banta, where I cut through the noise and fast track your journey to better health. I'm your host, CEO, and founder of Accelerated Health Products, and certified by the National Association of Nutritional Professionals. I'm here to share the latest on supplements, wellness hacks, and the myths, and the latest to help you reach your optimal health, from boosting energy to detoxing to balancing hormones and maybe fixing that adrenal fatigue. So let's dive in. Yes, it's going viral. Cortisol. You hear about it. The stress hormone. What do we do about it? What is the truth behind TikTok's viral adrenal cocktail? Is it as simple as just having this drink? Maybe it's a mocktail? Well, maybe not so much. This concept is not new, but the current wave of attention has reignited the adrenal health. And thyroid is low, adrenals are low, thyroid and adrenals go hand in hand. Diseases are ramping up, inflammation, histamine response, immune systems plummeting, and stress. That thing called stress that we have such a hard time managing. High stress can lead to increased cortisol production by the adrenals, which may contribute to your symptoms: low energy, weight gain, low immune system. You know, that cortisol is great when you're running from a tiger, but then you're only supposed to run for a little bit, and then you're supposed to be able to rest. But we don't rest in 2025. The rationale behind the drink that is going viral is that stress depletes the key minerals like sodium, potassium, magnesium, and vitamin C. And these, yes, there's truth. They are needed for adrenal hormone production. But there is some truth, but the chronic stress needs a lot more than that. And it needs more than an orange juice drink. So if you're dealing with the adrenal fatigue, you might need more than just that orange juice and a little bit of salt put in a drink, right? You need to help your mitochondria, your endocrine system, your gut. You need things like salt and iodine, and they're not talking about that. You also need to adjust your daily habits. We'll get into that as well. Well, the problem with these cortisol cocktails, they're missing the mark. They're usually including fruit juice, often high in sugar, coconut water, high in potassium, a pinch of sea salt, magnesium glycinate. And while this might be a little on the right track, it's not going to fix you. And the sugar content, especially from the orange juice or maple syrup, can cause rapid elevation in blood sugar, which is probably dysregulated already, even without eating that brownie, due to the adrenals being really tired out. So the stress, just stress on its own, can raise your blood sugar. Adding more of the wrong blood sugar or sugar into the blood can make things worse. And the amount of the minerals that are found in these drinks are not really that much. Yeah, you're on the right track, but you're not giving your body all that it needs. So to truly restore your adrenal health, we have to go deeper. Now, first, we got to identify our stressors and try to eliminate them, but sometimes that is easier said than done. So first, I want to get into what do the adrenals actually do? They're sitting on top of the kidneys. And I always know when I'm too stressed out, my adrenals are pooped, is when I start retaining water because my kidneys get inflamed holding up the adrenals. Cortisol is known as the stress hormone. It helps your body respond to stress, but it also plays a crucial role in regulating metabolism, managing that inflammation, controlling blood sugar, maintaining that circadian rhythm. That's why you might be wired but tired. You can't fall asleep at night, but you're super tired in the morning. Well, there are 7 major stress hormones, not just cortisol. Cortisol manages inflammation, blood sugar, circadian rhythm. But then there's adrenaline, also known as epinephrine, that increases your heart rate, your blood flow. Norepinephrine enhances focus, blood pressure, and alertness. Aldosterone regulates sodium and hydration. That's the one that makes you retain water when you're stressed out. DHEA supports hormone synthesis and recovery. Pregnenolone is the precursor to cortisol and DHEA, and the androgens influence muscle, libido, and mood. So with stress, all of these get out of whack, and each of these requires sodium, iodine, and ATP. And when you're under stress, they use more sodium, iodine, and need more ATP. That is why it's so important to have these minerals. Okay, so how the stress depletes salt? Well, sodium is your adrenal battery pack. When stress rises, aldosterone increases to conserve that sodium. Cortisol, which indirectly leads to sodium wasting, and then the epinephrine and norepinephrine, which ramps up sweat and urine output, flushes out the sodium even further. So signs that you are running low, well, dizziness or lightheadedness, salt cravings, brain fog, fatigue, low blood pressure. Your adrenals cannot function without salt, but not just any salt. And this also brings up the fact that if you're doing any type of fasting, long-term fast, intermittent fasting, you need salt and iodine. Your cells need it, not only for your adrenals to keep you going, but the iodine flushes the toxins out of the cells, because fasting, you're supposed to actually detox, right? That autophagy everyone talks about. And the sodium plumps up the blood to flush the toxins out even more. And it helps with that intracellular hydration, the cell's hydration. So salt, specifically sodium, is the most understood yet essential nutrient for adrenal function. So with the adrenal cocktail, they're putting a little salt in there. Not enough though. When the body's under stress, it loses sodium really fast during that urine and sweat. And the kidneys, under the influence of aldosterone, attempts to hold on to that sodium to maintain blood volume, electrolyte balance, and blood pressure. So if you don't have enough salt, what does it do? Well, this leads to a state of hypovolemia, or low blood volume. And this creates a cascade of issues. The hypothalamus signals the pituitary to increase secretion of vasopressin, an antidiuretic hormone. That's not what us women want, causing fluid retention and vascular constriction. So it's taking the blood flow out of our extremities, our fingers and our toes. That's why they might get cold, because we need the volume in our expensive organs around our gut, our liver, our kidneys, our gut, all those things. And then what happens, histamine and inflammatory cytokines increases, blood becomes more concentrated and acidic. We don't want histamine. We don't want inflammation. The capillary beds close to protect circulation, like I said, to the vital organs. The adrenal glands respond by increasing production of aldosterone and the other stress hormones to retain what little sodium remains. When sodium intake is too low, the adrenals must produce an array of the hormones, including the aldosterone, renin, angiotensin II, epinephrine, norepinephrine, adrenaline, just to preserve the mineral balance and fluid pressure. So what does this do? This is really expensive. How much money do you have in the bank? It requires more mitochondria output, depletes the ATP, that is our cellular energy, and that needs iodine. And 96% of you are already depleted in iodine. So we have very little in the first place, and now our body needs more. Iodine is not just for the thyroid. It's for every cell in the body. And you might be getting cold. I was talking to my parents this weekend. They're 83, 84, and they're getting colder. They've always had healthy metabolisms. But you notice that they're having the doors closed. They were wearing a little extra layer on top of what I would be wearing. And they'll say, yeah, I'm getting colder easily. Well, when you get old, you have lower circulation. lower circulation, you are trying to preserve that warmth and that ATP. They're deficient in iodine. So there you go. What would happen if they actually supplemented with iodine? Maybe their circulation would improve. So in summary, when sodium is low, the adrenal glands go into overdrive to compensate. The kidneys cannot filter the toxins, increasing inflammation. The thyroid and the mitochondria suffer due to that increase in iodine and energy. The thyroid and the adrenals work together. There's less iodine for the thyroid hormones now, T4 and T3, which the 4 and 3 stands for molecules of iodine. The body enters that survival mode, conserving the T4 and converting it into reverse T3, not that free T3 that we want. That reverse T3 says, I'm in survival mode, put on more fat around the belly to protect those organs, slow down the metabolism, and do only the things for survival. The body enters this vicious cycle of fatigue and stress and hormone dysregulation, making things worse and making your adrenals worse and increasing your stress. Because if you're gaining weight out of nowhere and you don't feel good, you think your stress is going to go up or down. So this is where accelerated ancient salt comes in. And if you're fasting, you don't fast without it. You don't just do water. You have to have your electrolytes. And accelerated ancient salt is more than just sodium. It is 62 minerals. It is helping your adrenal glands and your overall health, your overall system. It's rich in those essential minerals like magnesium, potassium, and sodium, vital for your adrenals. And so it will help with the fatigue, the anxiety, the insomnia, and it will help plump up the blood to get the toxins out as well. And magnesium, potassium are also found in the salt. They play a crucial role in that blood sugar response and also stabilizing that. Just salt can help with your blood sugar. Imagine that. You don't need berberine or low sugar in the diet. Yes, you do, but you don't. The salt can help stabilize that blood sugar. Okay, so not only salt, but that salt is replenishing the sodium lost through the chronic stress. It's giving you the minerals required for the hormone production, and it's helping with the electrolyte balance, that osmotic pressure and cellular hydration. Okay, so we're getting the fluid moving across the cell membrane. Remember, the cell membrane is the brain of the cell, and you need iodine and fat to support that cell membrane, but you need salt to help get the fluid into the cell and out of the cell, the toxins out. Super important. It draws out the toxins with its negative charge. Accelerated ancient salt has a negative charge. Toxins have a positive charge. Parasites have a positive charge. Your medications have a positive charge. It helps support the mitochondrial energy as well. And then it helps produce the stress hormones and helps alleviate the production of those stress hormones. So it does so many things. Now the thyroid adrenal axis. This is really important because if you think that your adrenals in overdrive are not affecting your metabolism, think again. They're talking to each other. You've got the HPA axis and the HPT axis. Hypothalamus, pituitary, adrenal axis, hypothalamus, pituitary, thyroid axis. There's a feedback loop. They're talking to each other. So cortisol is the primary stress hormone. It releases the adrenal the adrenal glands, directly influences how your body converts thyroid hormones. And under normal conditions, the thyroid produces the T4, converts into that free T3. That's your metabolism. That's your fat burning, right? That's good. But under stress, it converts into that reverse T3. And that reverse T3 blocks thyroid receptors, slows down the metabolism. That's your body's way of conserving energy. Then the stress disrupts that whole feedback loop. The hypothalamus and pituitary gland serve as command centers for the entire endocrine system. And that's also going to affect your gonads and your sex hormones. So it will release a hormone which tells the adrenal glands to secrete cortisol. At the same time, the hypothalamus and pituitary also regulate the release of TSH, thyroid stimulating hormone. So under stress, these things get really out of whack. And that's where you're going to have adrenal exhaustion, brain fog, fatigue, all those things. They affect your mood, your metabolism, and your stress resilience, and then eventually your immune system. So when one gland becomes dysregulated, it often affects the other. Low thyroid function can burden the adrenals, and then that must overcompensate by overproducing cortisol to keep your energy up. And then you get this adrenal fatigue. So where does iodine come in? Iodine, yes, it's best known for its thyroid hormone production. But during stress, the adrenal glands require iodine even more to produce catecholamines like epinephrine, norepinephrine, and dopamine. It needs the iodine to facilitate that conversion of cholesterol into pregnenolone, the precursor to cortisol, aldosterone, DHEA, and the sex hormones. It fuels the enzyme systems that govern hormone synthesis and clearance, supports the mitochondrial respiration and ATP production, and it gets rid of those toxins like the fluoride, the chlorine, and the bromine. So your body needs more iodine and more salt when it's stressed, period. It doesn't necessarily need orange juice. Your detox system is slowing down as well under stress. You need the iodine and salt for detox. You need it for your thyroid. So many things. And that's where accelerating iodine comes in. Accelerating iodine, accelerated ancient salt, the only two I recommend. I have people doing 3-day fasts, and I say you're not allowed to do it unless you're doing your iodine and your salt, which actually increases autophagy, helps with the fat burning, helps with the detoxification, all the things that you're wanting to get out of a fast, and it takes the stress off of your body. Well, accelerating iodine is the only monoatomic iodine charged with scalar frequencies. What does that mean? That means it's more bioavailable than any other iodine. It's paired with 200 proof organic, non-GMO alcohol. Why is that important? Well, when you pair it with glycerin or a cheaper alcohol, the bioavailability isn't there. It doesn't help. And you are actually introducing more toxins into the body that you're trying to get rid of, right? So the accelerating iodine takes it to a whole nother level. So before you try a cortisol cocktail or any supplement on the market for that adrenal support, yeah, you can use something like adrenaline, which is an adrenal glandular if you need to get an initial temporary boost, but start with accelerating iodine and salt. If you want to add it to your orange juice, great, not the iodine. Iodine's only with water. 12 minutes later, then you can have the salt and maybe a splash of orange juice for taste. But the orange juice is not going to save your adrenals. And believe me, I've been there. I've had adrenal fatigue. I have had family members with adrenal fatigue. It is a real thing. Maybe it's not a real term, but people do exhaust their adrenals. Accelerating iodine first thing in the morning, followed by 2 more doses during the day. You work up to a higher dose every day, and you want to start slowly because your body's detoxing, and then wait at least 12 minutes before you have any other supplement, the salt, food, anything, and then you can add that accelerated ancient salt. And guess what's so great? You actually can put it in your drinks, in your coffee, on your food, and you'll never want to go back to another salt because it tastes so good. But you also need to support it with grass-fed animal proteins like elk, bison, wild fish. Avoid the seed oils, the processed foods, the sugar. Eat, more often. If you really do have exhausted adrenals, fasting is not your friend. Eat every couple hours just to make sure your blood sugar is stable. You can use the accelerated food guide. It is a great guide to lay out all of the foods that are healthy and away from oxalates, away from sulfur that could be tripping up your detox pathways, and you think they're healthy, and to keep you on a good plan. Move during the day. Wake up, look at the sunrise. Skip the HIIT training. Your adrenals need healing, not more stress. Walk. Walking is so good for lowering that cholesterol. I love walking before meals or after, just for 10 minutes. Support those detox pathways. And sleep. At least 7 to 9 hours. You need your sleep. These are the ways to get your adrenals and your thyroid and your metabolism and your overall health back to square one. Remember, your thyroid is the master endocrine gland. When it's out of whack, everything falls apart. And your adrenals are paired with the thyroid. So hopefully this was helpful. Thanks for tuning in today. I hope you got some tools and inspiration to take the next step on your health journey. Head to SaraBantaHealth.com for health articles and more. Join my free group coaching. There's no downside on Telegram. I post daily. You can ask your questions, and you can find the Acceleradine Iodine and the Accelerated Salt at acceleratedhealthproducts.com. Use coupon code podcast10 for your first order. If you got something out of this, share it with a friend. They're all stressed. They're all tired. They don't know what to do. And by doing so, you are not only going to help them, but you are going to help this podcast reach more people like you. I can't do it alone. So you can find me on Spotify, Apple, YouTube, E360, iHeartRadio, and over 100 different platforms. And remember, I'm live every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. So join me next time for more ways to unlock your health potential.